I'm going to show you how to repaint some old woodwork, which means old skirting boards and old architraves. Here's what we're going to need in today's video. We've got a scraper, masking tape, sandpaper, Stanley knife, got a brush with our paint. So this is the area we're working on. We're going to be working on the architraves, and you can see they've got a bit of yellow colour. Still got a bit of plaster left on it, and it all needs a good touch up. So here's the process on how to repaint woodwork so it looks brand new. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is prime the woodwork before we even do anything. Now, first thing, grab your scraper or your filling knife. What we're going to do is take any high spots away. So there might be a bit of plaster in the corner, a bit of old paintwork, got a bit of a lump there. Take that back. What we're doing is just scraping anything back, and it won't do you any harm. Let's give it a good scrape anyway. So, get any big sections off. As so. And next up, we're going to need our sandpaper. Now, I've got some 120 grit. 80 is a great starting point, but 80 to 120 is perfect, because all we're doing is just creating a key. Now what do I mean by that? We're not trying to get all the old paint off, that's not the aim here. It's basically giving it a bit of a rougher texture, so that means when we paint a new lick of paint on top, it's going to stick to it. If it's too smooth like this, the new paint might not adhere, and it might slide down and it might run. So what we want is to give it a bit of a rough edge. Nothing complicated, all we're going to do is give it a quick sand. So, getting all the grooves, getting the edges. Good little hack, if you fold up your sandpaper, create a nice little edge, you can get in the inner corners, you can get into the grooves, and it's a lot easier to work with. So what I do is cut up little pieces and then create little pockets like this. Let me show you. You can easily get in the grooves, get rid of the old paint, get rid of any plaster. Alright, now you want to give it a bit of a smooth off, so we're just going to dust off any excess. Just got a little old rag here, and then if you've got too much, just give it a little hoover. Now let's talk about paint for a minute. I'm going to tell you to avoid using oil-based. Now this might be controversial, some people might hate that, but it tends to be oil-based paints that tend to go yellow over time, and they're the ones that do decolour a lot more than say water-based. What I recommend is this. This is Crown Fast Flow Quick Dry Satin Paint. Now you don't have to get satin, that's just my preference, but this is a water-based paint, and to me these are a lot nicer to use. This dries very fast, which means you can get your 2 coats on easily in a day. But not only that, it's going to be less prone to decolouring and going yellow over time. This stuff is great, it's good, it's very versatile, and it dries very fast. So if you're looking for a decent paint woodwork wise, this is good stuff. It's not cheap, I'm not going to lie to you, but it's good to use. Now the process now is very simple. We're literally just going to paint the woodwork. The prep's been done, that's the important part. We're literally just going to start painting along. Now, because of the key we've created with the sandpaper, it sticks nicely. There's no issues, and what you've got is a nice clean base to start coating and painting. Now typically you want at least 2 coats for woodwork. At least give it 2 hours, and then you can put your second coat on, but check it. If it's touch dry, usually okay to coat it again. When you are using a brush, put your finger and your grip quite close to the brush end. This is going to give you the most amount of control, so when you are cutting in, you're going to have the most amount of control, which means you're going to get a lot of accuracy. So when you are coming to the points where you're getting to the edge of this architrave meeting the wall, or the skirting board meeting the wall, you've got the most amount of control to cut in. So you want your finger towards the top, grip towards the curvature of the brush, and then on you go. Easy peasy. Now if you aren't confident about your cutting in and you do struggle, then you can use a masking tape. The one I recommend is frog tape. Again, it's not cheap, but I find that this is the best for not letting any painting slip past the tape. What I have found is when using cheap masking tape that it can seep through and it won't give you a clean line that you're looking for. So If you are wanting to use a masking tape, I recommend frog tape. You've got a green, which is medium tack, and then you've got yellow, which is after this. Yellow has got the least amount of tack. Now I will give you a word of warning. I don't actually like to use frog tape or masking tape when I'm cutting in, because what I have had in the past is when I have painted woodwork, is I've put the frog tape, masking tape onto the wall next to the area I'm working with. I've gone, painted it all, wait for dry, peeled off, and it's took the paint off with the masking tape. It's happened a few times. So if you are going to use frog tape or masking tape, make sure you give it at least 2 days for the painted area to dry. This is going to reduce the chance of the tape pulling off the paint. Other than that, you could just try and cut in like I'm doing this video, so I'll give you a quick rundown. At this moment in time, the painting is quite easy, but when it comes to the edges, make sure you've not got too much paint on your paintbrush, because it just leads to leaking. So when you are getting the paint, make sure you take the excess from the edge of the pot and just take your time using the brush and the bristles to follow through, following the direction of the architrave or skirting board, and then, like I said, making sure that your brush isn't too loaded, and then when you're working towards the edges, taking your time and then focusing on your edge wall. We'll look at skirting boards in a minute, but before we do, we're just going to have a quick word about brushes. Now this is a Hamilton 2-inch cutting in brush. This is a great brush. I'm not gonna lie, I'm rubbish at cutting in. But this has really changed the game. It's a lovely brush to use when you are cutting in because it keeps its shape and it doesn't bend. It manages to really slip into the corners and it just gives a real nice clean line. Now the great thing is it's synthetic hairs, which basically means if you are using water-based paints, unlike natural fibered brushes, this won't expand and it won't change shape, which means it's going to keep its shape and keep its edges nice. And the best thing, it doesn't tend to lose bristles. So when you are painting, it is just great for cutting in, and trust me, this is a great bit of kit and it's only £4. Now, I've really got to lie down to get in a shot here. There's no difference between skirting boards and architraves. It's the same process. Sand the woodwork down, give it a good clean, and then get your brush and just really get into the edges. Now, the only difference is where you're going to paint to. So, is your carpet staying or is it going? If it's staying, you want to masking tape the edges and paint right down to the tape. So either way, what we want to do is make sure we get to the lowest point of the skirting board as we can. Now, the other difference is, if your carpet's going, like ours is, hence why there's no mats anywhere, you want to cut a sliver just shy of your skirting boards, and that way, when you're painting, you can go all the way down. Now, you don't have to worry about touching the timber at the bottom, but you really do want to get low, because what you don't want is when the new carpet's fitted, it's going to show a gap of the old paint coming through. So either way, your aim is to get as low as you possibly can on the skirting board. Other than that, the process is the exact same. All we're doing is using this lovely brush, and then we're cutting in, and we're just making sure we get close to the edge as possible, keeping a clean line, and then the rest, nice and simple. And that's it. That's how you paint skirting boards and architraves. Repaint them, make them, give them a fresh look. Easy peasy once you know how. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to see how we did the panelling in this room, then click the link in the top right corner and then subscribe in the left. Job done.